It's good to be back among Rotarians in Myrtle Beach. I remember when we had a new member induction, they always ended it with, at this moment, you are the newest Rotarian in the world. So that moment's passed, but maybe you still are. And it's good to be back. I gotta say the food's much better here than it was in Myrtle Beach. So thank you for those of you who prepared the food. We have a video. This has never worked in any of the speeches that I've given yet, but we can give it a try and see if it can get you jazzed up. Yesterday was opening day. We were rained out, so it's like Christmas Day again today. Kind of a Groundhog Christmas Day combo. But let's see if we can get this to go. Of course not. Absolutely. There we go. But no speaker.
Serves as a uniting spirit among our lives. It's the backbone of sports in America, bringing people together on the front lines of hometown hurrah. From Lana Park.
Well, as you can see, I'm 0 for 4 now. It's a great video, though. We'll let it run through and it'll show a little bit about the new ballpark, and I'll talk again.
The support for Charlotte's jewel of entertainment has endured for
That's Manny Ramirez there, who used to play for the Knights at Knights Stadium.
continues today.
And this is the future, BB&T Ballpark. I know Rotarians would love to sing, so if you want to jump in and start singing and give us some background music.
What's the seating capacity?
It's about 10,000 as well.
Home plate will span the magnificent Charlotte skyline across the stadium outfield. The Charlotte Knights want you to be a part of BB&T Ballpark and a part of Charlotte's growing baseball history.
It's a coming. It's less than a year away when we'll be opening this brand new Taj Mahal for baseball and what I think is going to be one of the best settings. Before I get into a lot about the ballpark, BB&T Ballpark, kind of wanted to talk about this year and the end of an era. Knights Stadium has served as the home of the Knights since 1990, so we're coming into season number 24, which is quite a long time, and a lot of great players have come through. You saw some up there, Jim Thome, Manny Ramirez, Livan Hernandez, Luis Castillo, some really great players. I'm new to Charlotte. I moved up here in December, right around the holidays, so I'm still kind of getting my bearings, but some of the things I've been so impressed with is the deep, rich history of baseball in the Charlotte area. Going back to, I think, the 1890s, there was baseball here, and I didn't realize this until I moved, but the name of the team from the 1890s up until about, gosh, I'm going to say into the 60s, was the Charlotte Hornets. And as we are kind of making our transition to a new era of Knights baseball, you know, we had a lot of internal debate over whether we should change the name, come up with a new name. As we were doing that, you know, Hornets was certainly one of those names that was right up there front and center until the New Orleans basketball team decided to ditch the Hornets name, and the speculation started to build that perhaps the Bobcats might switch to that moniker at some point here in the future. Who knows what will happen with that, but we're going to keep the Knights. We're going to probably rebrand our logo because the Knights have never played in Charlotte, North Carolina. So we want to, you know, people got behind this project because of the Knights, because of AAA baseball, and we think it's a great name with the Queen City tie-in and all of that. But we've got one more season to go in Fort Mill. We open up at home on Thursday, April 11th, this coming Thursday, and we've got a lot of great things planned for the year, as we would typically do, but we want to honor that rich heritage. Got a lot of fans who've been out to that ballpark in 24 years, and so one of the things that we're doing on opening night is we're going to reveal the all-night stadium team. And there's some really great players. We've been doing a player poll, and fans have been getting on the website and voting for people. I can't divulge any of the names at this point, but on opening night, we'll get a chance to do that. How many have been to Knight Stadium? Okay, if you've been there, and this is something I picked up on in maybe my first couple hours on the job, but when you walk into the seating bowl, there are these black seats, and they have these colored stripes that run up and down from the field up to the concourse. And kind of a really different look, and it tied into when, I guess, George Shinn built the stadium and had that ballpark going, kind of to take into that Knights and have different ribbons and different colors for the seating. And it really looks out of place, but there is some rhyme and reason to it. And we're going to do something this year called Flashback Fridays, in which we're going to wear a jersey that we wore back in 1990. And that jersey is a black jersey with different colored pinstripes. Maybe the ugliest thing I've ever seen on a baseball player in my lifetime. But we'll wear that every Friday, and we'll have, we're going to have Gaylord Perry out one night. We're going to have Sid Bream from the Braves days come out. We're going to be giving away some old baseball card sets and some great giveaways with the different hats that the Knights wore throughout the years. But really try to do things to really honor that rich heritage that Knight Stadium has. What makes minor league baseball so great is its affordability and accessibility. The big leagues are great, don't get me wrong, but you can get closer at a minor league game and get up close to the action, get the autographs, get to know the guys at a price that your family doesn't have to take a second mortgage out on the house and have a great time. I look at things, the entertainment scene these days is so competitive. I mean, you've got movies, you've got internet, you've got all those things, and I love going out to the movies. But have you been to a movie lately? What are they charging for tickets these days for movies? It's up to like 11, 12. If it's a 3D movie, it climbs up for even higher than that. And as much fun as it is, when you go to a movie theater, you go into a dark place, you sit like you're in an airplane seat, you don't want to touch the person to the left of you or the right of you. You just kind of want to get into your own little world, your own little fantasy, and enjoy it. And 2 hours are over, the lights come on, and all you want to do is get the heck out of there and beat the crowd, trying to exit the place. That's not what a baseball game's all about. We're about seeing other people. You never see anybody in a movie theater because the lights are down. When's the last time you did a wave in a movie theater? If you did, they'd probably call security and throw you out. We want that fun and that activity going on in the stands. And some of the things that we're going to do as we transition to much better technology, bigger video boards and things that we're going to have at the new place is try to start creating even more fun in the grandstands for this particular year. We never know if we're going to win or lose, but one thing that we can control is what kind of time that you're going to have at the ballpark. So we're bringing a dance team in this year. We're going to have a royalty race, which is going to feature a queen and a king and a jester and a knight, kind of like the president's race at Nationals Ballpark in Washington and the sausage race in Milwaukee, and just really make every show, every one of our 72 home games, a different experience and a fun experience at an affordable price. With the opening of BB&T Ballpark, we feel strongly that we will reach the pinnacle as the best entertainment value in the Queen City that you're going to find. People are all very curious about the ticket prices and what we're going to charge. We haven't completely formulated everything at this point, but in the next couple of weeks we're going to be putting some information out on our season tickets. And I can tell you that those season tickets breakdown per game is going to be in between $10 and $11 to come out to see top caliber, top-notch baseball. I think, for my own sake, the city of Charlotte, I'm mesmerized by tall buildings. And the city of Charlotte kind of reminds me of the Wizard of Oz, the Emerald City. Everywhere I am in town, I'm always looking for that skyline and that, what's going on in those buildings. And it doesn't matter, I'm always turning my head. When I lived in New York City, worked for the Mets for about 4 years, I was that guy that was always looking up and looking like the tourist. I'm like that in Charlotte, and I think when you saw that rendition go across the screen, the skyline view by itself is going to be worth the price of admission. It's going to be the nicest view of any sports stadium in the entire country. And I think just by virtue of that, I would pay and sit in the seat for 3.5 hours if nothing was going on. We think that's going to be great. It's really the setting, and if you've been by the ballpark recently, you may have seen there's steel coming out of the ground, there's some walls up. Romare Bearden Park is really taking shape just to the right field, beyond the right field fence. at the ballpark. And something very interesting I learned since I've moved here to Charlotte is that Romare Bearden was the renowned African-American artist that really from Charlotte and lived in Harlem and went to school at Boston University. You talked about Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier in the 40s. Romare Bearden had the potential as a collegiate player for Boston University. He was courted by the Philadelphia Athletics at the time to come into professional baseball and to become the first player. But what they wanted him to do, he was a very light-skinned African-American gentleman. They wanted him to fake it that he was white and come and play for their club. And he did not want to turn his back on his African-American heritage. And at that point, gave up the game of baseball and became an artist and really made his mark a lot more probably than he would have as a baseball player. A pretty cool thing is that park is going to be directly across Mid Street. And on certain home games, we hope that we can close down that section. I think it's closed down now if you've traveled at all through Uptown and had to hit some detours. And really we'll kind of create a plaza atmosphere where we'll be able to have live musicians out there and really make a pregame trip to BB&T Ballpark an event. We're going to have a video board that actually faces that park. It's going to give us the opportunity to do some movies. But some really great things going on. We've got a really good team this year. They just broke camp, and in minor leagues, players change all the time. It's never been more certain than it was this year. Our guys showed up, and I think we had about 32 players that were going to fill 25 spots. And what ends up happening is it all kind of trickles down. We're the Class AAA affiliate of the Chicago White Sox. So depending on what the White Sox are doing with their roster, it trickles down to us, and to the point where we got on a bus yesterday morning to head down to Lawrenceville, Georgia, which is where the Gwinnett Braves play, and a couple guys basically got their pink slips that morning, finding out they didn't make the club and that they had to go out and find their own way, their own team as we got going. But this baseball is such a high caliber. We've got some great players. We've got Jared Mitchell in our club this year. He was Brandon LaFell's roommate as a collegiate football player for LSU, has the distinction of being on the LSU National Championship football and baseball teams. We've got a new speedy left fielder named Luis Durango who led the International League in steals last year. A really strong pitching staff, just a lot of good veteran players. Last year we're coming off a playoff run in which we went 83-61 under Joel Skinner, who was our manager again this year. And really think it's going to be a good club, but we also know that those cast of characters are going to change throughout the year depending on the needs of the Chicago White Sox. Kind of brings me to a story, and I have to go back to some of my old teams to tell you this story, because I haven't been here in Charlotte for a full season yet. But I remember a player, I worked in Binghamton, New York for the AA Mets, named Nick Evans. And Nick Evans was an infielder that the Mets wanted to convert into an outfielder. So about a week into this experiment, he's out in left field, really not comfortable, not knowing his way around, and a fly ball goes out there. He kind of loafs after it, doesn't really, he thinks it's a foul ball, and in fact landed in fair territory. He jogged after the ball with no urgency, grabbed it and tossed it into the stands to one of the kids that was there. Turned out we had a couple guys on bases, the run scored, they made a ground rule double, and he just felt like a big heel. A couple more pitches go by, all of a sudden the manager of the Binghamton Mets calls time, and he waves Nick Evans in. And Nick thinks he's being called out. It's embarrassing enough to make a mistake like that, but he feels like he's being called out. They bring him in, he throws his glove down on the bench, he's scowling, and the manager calls him down. Next thing you know, they're laughing and hugging, and none of us know what's going on. As it turned out, the New York Mets had called that, at that very moment, into the dugout and said, we had an injury at the major league level. We need Nick in Colorado tomorrow to play for the Mets because we're shorthanded. So we found all this out after the game. The next morning, of course, the flights are always at 5:30 in the morning, which means someone has to get up at 4 to pick up the player. I took it upon myself, this was a pretty big deal. I was the general manager of the team. I went and I picked him up. He's sitting on a suitcase. I didn't have to wake him up. He said he didn't sleep a lick. He was so excited about making his major league debut potentially. I pick him up. I take him up to the airport in Binghamton. I said, they want you to take a cab from the Denver airport to Coors Field. He looked at me and he said, I don't have any money. So here's the guy who's going to be making immediately, at that time I think the major league minimum salary was $350,000, prorated of course, and he's asking the minor league general manager for a loan of a couple $100. Luckily, I had some money on me. I gave it to him. He made it to the airport. He made it to Coors Field, and we were taking batting practice that afternoon against the Reading Phillies, and we had the big jumbotron with the game of the week, the Fox game of the week. Up comes the starting lineup, and there's Nick Evans, batting fifth, playing left field, ends up coming up the first time up to the plate, lashes a double down the right field line, and the place just stopped. The fans weren't in there. It was just all these players saying, today I'm playing in Binghamton, New York, and the same thing's going to happen here in Charlotte, and tomorrow I'm at the big time, I'm at the show. And that was really cool. Another cool thing that happens at the AAA level especially are the rehabs. You get some major league players that are injured and they're trying to work themselves back into health. We had Billy Wagner come to Binghamton, the famous Braves reliever who was a Mets reliever, and he came down, and Billy makes pretty good coin at this point in his career. He had been established, and he comes in and he's signing autographs and doing all the things. One of the traditions is that the major league player always buys the spread after the game, buys the meal for the team, and gives them a really nice meal. Well, Billy goes and starts, to warm up, but before he goes in, he's always a closer, he's always going to pitch late in the game. He says to the groundskeeper, hey, where's the bathroom out here in the bullpen? Well, this is the minor leagues, this isn't the major leagues. We don't have all the creature comforts that we're going to have at BB&T Ballpark. And the groundskeeper says, well, it's over there at the shed. And he goes, inside the shed? He goes, no, on the shed. And Billy, who's from the sticks of Virginia, says, oh man, this is just like back home. He was excited. So he starts warming up. And he's throwing and he's whistling the ball by. He's been signing autographs all game, but now it's time to work. And there's a fan, a very verbose gentleman, comes up very close. Like I said, accessibility is big in the minor leagues. And he says, come on, Billy, sign this autograph. And he says, sorry, sir, I can't. I got to go to work. And he says, come on, Billy, you only make $11 million. Billy looks him dead in the eye and says, $13 million, blank hole. Just those kind of behind-the-scenes stories that make the job so much fun. I look at a baseball season as a novel. It's a chapter in a novel. Something's going to happen that you never expected to happen. But what we really want BB&T Ballpark to be is a community center. And I think for the first time in the history of the Knights franchise, we will be smack dab geographically in the center of our, basically our drawing area. And this ballpark's $54 million ballpark. A lot of help from a lot of different parties. The city and the county got involved. But it is going to be a testament to the Queen City and to baseball fans throughout. I'm not going to lie to you. Being down in Fort Mill, it's been a great home for us, but it's put us kind of on the southern edge of this market, which has taken a lot of the northern part of it out of play. It's going to complete the cycle of sports and entertainment trips by people from throughout the region to uptown Charlotte. It's that summer season that was kind of missing. You've got the football, you've got the basketball, you've got the hockey. Now you're going to have 72 baseball games. We're really excited about the possibility of getting the office buildings to finish their day and people streaming out of their office buildings and coming to a baseball game and drinking a beer or having a soda and a hot dog and really making it fun. We look at ballparks as a place that, we're all looking for more time with our families, more quality time with our customers, our clients. The ballpark can be that place. It can be that place where you see your neighbors, you spend quality time with people, and you take in America's pastime. We all want to belong to a group. You guys are Rotarians. Sports teams, I think, really kind of create that sense of belonging and that sense of community that we're all striving for. And we feel like the Knights are finally going to get on the map. I was fortunate enough to grow up in Baltimore working for my dad, who was the PR director for the Orioles. So I remember the time when the Charlotte O's were around. And Eddie Murray's my all-time favorite player. He came through here. Cal Ripken, another great player, he came through here. There's some great players that you get a chance to see. But what we really want you to do is come out, take your mind off some of your daily troubles, relax, enjoy the people around you, and be better people all around. I'd love to answer some questions for you. I think we have some pictures and stuff. I wanted to get through my spiel first, but that's probably won't work. Put the projector. Any questions about the Knights, about BB&T Ballpark that I can answer before some of the pictures come up? Yes, sir.
When we get to the point where we can justify a major league team, is that stadium acceptable to be expanded?
We don't think so. The footprint's really, really tight there. The only place you can really go is up. Our capacity is going to be 10,200 at this stadium. I just don't think that site will lend itself to it. What you're looking at with Major League Baseball is you're looking at much bigger dollars, huge franchise fees, ballparks that have to be in the 40 to 45,000 spectator range, and I just architects are amazing people, and maybe there's a way, but I don't see it anytime in the near future. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
You're going to add some left-handed batters to the lineup next season?
Well, we've got some of this. We've got Seth Lomans, a first baseman for us. Josh Fagley is our catcher, and he was a minor league Gold Glover last year. We're going to be presenting that Gold Glove to him on Friday the 12th. So power, we're not as strong as we want to be power-wise, but speed, we're good.
Is this fence shorter than the one out in Fort
It's not symmetrical, so there's some nooks and crannies to it. There's a home run porch in right field. Some of the cool features of this ballpark, and this is the before picture. I guess they tell me that was the Virginia paper mill there on the 3rd Ward that was torn down to make room for the ballpark, but that goes back for many years. That lot where the ballpark sits would look like that. And then we had groundbreaking in September of 2012, so there's been a lot of progress that's taken place by the construction. Rogers is the lead construction company, the GC on the job, a local company that's doing a lot of the work. You can see that. You can start to see, I believe this is, let me see if I can, 4th Street coming through there, might be 3rd, I'm still kind of getting through. That has since been filled in and closed off. January, you can see where that road has disappeared, and the pit's starting to grow. We had a bunch of rain there in early January, so we had a little bit of a pond that wasn't planned out there in what will be left field. Home plate, there you go. And then March 20th, very recent pictures. We had a steel ceremony a couple weeks ago. When you really will start to be able to feel it is when the seats go in, and that's still a couple months away.
Will you orient us where is home plate?
Sure. Home plate is going to be situated right about here, okay? And Panthers Bank of America Stadium is a block to that way over there. You're basically looking at Martin Luther King up here, Graham Street, 4th Avenue, and then Mid Street is there. Just an absolutely phenomenal site, and so close, 3.5 blocks from the train, the light rail, and really walkable from almost any place in the uptown region. Parking, working on that now. There's plenty of spots around. Talking to preferred parking. We have for our season ticket holders and some of our suite holders, we're working on a deal with Duke Energy to have some ramp parking there. But there's really a ton. We figure if the Panthers can get 70,000 people into Bank of America Stadium, we should be able to get 10,000 into ours. And we're working on some things that maybe some prepaid group parking, and we're trying to keep it. We don't want it to be that $30 that you get when you go to a football game. We think that the nighttime parking situation isn't as taxed in Uptown as it is during the day, and most of our games will be at night. So we've got some good plans, and we're working on them, but nothing to report concrete at this point. Anybody else? I know how time is with Rotary meetings, and you never want to exceed it, but I appreciate you listening to me. It's great to be here. Yes, one more question.
Did you ever get your money back? Did you ever get your cab money?
I did. The New York Mets gave it back to me in a reimbursement. We basically put it down on a report, and they have to reimburse us for us, because the players don't work for us, they work for the Major League Club. They wear our uniforms, but yes, I did. I needed it. I needed it the next day. Thanks again for your attention and your hospitality. We look forward to seeing you at Knight Stadium this year. I put some schedules in the back. Feel free to grab a pocket schedule and see you at the ballpark. If you're there, please holler at me. I don't know many people yet in town, and I'd like to broaden my horizons. Thanks again.